This is MMA Oddsbreaker.
Okay, time to move on to our second fight from today's Oddsbreaker segment. From UFC On Fuel TV 6 in China, it's Rich Franklin versus Cung Le, the headliner. We're going to start off with Brett first this time. Brett, a competitive fight here at middleweight, with Rich Franklin's coming back down to middleweight for this fight, taking on a very hot Cung Le right now. The line is going to be Rich Franklin opening as the favorite, minus 245. The comeback is going to be plus 195 on Cung Le. Brett, give me your take and give me your bet.
I'm going to take Rich Franklin in this fight. I think if you put down some money on him, though, it might be a good idea to consider not watching the fight because I think it's going to be pretty close. But the reason I end up picking Rich Franklin is I think he's going to do a lot of what we saw him do in the later rounds against Wanderlei Silva in his most recent fight. I think he'll use his jab and circle quite a bit. I think that he can keep Cung Le a little bit off rhythm with that nice jab that he's got. But you spend 15 minutes in a cage with Cung Le, he's going to tag you at least a few times somewhere along the way. But I think at the end of the day, Rich Franklin will prevail, and I think he's worth a shot, although I do think that whenever you bet on a guy who's favored minus 245, you want it to be an easy run. I don't think it's going to be an easy run.
All right, so Brett, cautiously betting the juice on Rich Franklin. It's going to be minus 245, so 1225 to win 500. Let's throw it over to Damon. Damon, is Rich Franklin the play over Cung Le?
He is, and I thought Brett said it perfectly right there. I mean, that's just not an easy fight to pick. You know, Cung Le is a guy who likes to strike, has some very nasty kicks, and Rich Franklin traditionally is a striker, so he's going to play into Cung Le's game a little bit. I still like Rich to win this fight, though. I think Rich is just a more complete, better mixed martial artist than Cung Le is, but this is not a fight I'm going to be super confident in because one good kick or one good moment from Cung Le and Rich Franklin could go down. We've seen Rich Franklin get knocked down in fights before, so again, it scares me a little bit because of the stylistic matchup, but I still got to favor Rich Franklin because I just believe overall he is the better, more complete fighter.
Okay, so Damon Martin does agree. He's also laying the juice on Rich Franklin, $12.25 to win $500. So once again, both of our experts agree it's Rich Franklin over Cung Le.
Well, that's it for another episode of MMA Oddsbreakers. I want to thank our two special guests, Damon Martin and Brett Akimoto, for joining us. Great information as always, guys. Thanks a ton. And don't forget to start looking for the lines that Nick broke right here on the show to start popping up at the sport books throughout the coming week.
And also, you can check out our website, MMAOddsbreaker.com, or follow us on Twitter at MMA Oddsbreaker. For Miguel Literati, I'm Nick Kalika saying until next time, enjoy the fights.